I'll never forget the moment the truth finally landed when the HOA president who had called the cops on me, spread rumors about me, and tried to ruin my life, learned she'd been paying rent to me all along. She wasn't the queen of the neighborhood. She wasn't even a homeowner. She was my tenant. And that's how I found myself the new guy in town, sitting across from the woman who wanted me gone, sliding her own rent check across her coffee table as her face collapsed in shock. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Act 1. The conflict begins. My name is Jacob Miller, 32 years old, former sporting goods store owner. I sold off my chain last year, walked away with enough money to set myself up for an early retirement, and thought, why wait until I'm old and cranky to enjoy life? So I bought a cabin. Cedar siding, stone chimney, right on Whispering Pines Lake. The kind of place I used to sketch in the margins of my notebooks back in high school. My plan was simple. Mornings, fishing, afternoons, writing some book nobody would read, evenings, sipping beer on the porch pretending I knew something about constellations. Peace, finally. That Saturday morning, movers carried in my stuff. I stood there with a coffee mug soaking in the smell of pine, thinking I'd cracked the code of life. At 32, I was retired. That moment should have lasted forever. But peace doesn't last long when you live next to an HOA president. I noticed her before I heard her. Tall blonde ponytail pulled back too tight, striding like she owned the pavement. Not strolling, storming. "Excuse me," she barked, still halfway across the street. I waved stupidly, thinking she was about to welcome me. Big mistake. By the time she hit the edge of my driveway, she was pointing at the moving truck, eyes burning holes through me. "What exactly are you doing here?" I blinked. Moving in." "You can't just move into this property," she snapped. "People don't just appear here. Who gave you permission?" I actually laughed. Permission. Last I checked, the deed was enough. I own this place. Wrong answer. Her eyes narrowed sharp as a hawk's. She raised the camera dangling from her neck, snapped pictures of me, the movers, the truck. Click, click, click. Then she muttered, "Got it all documented." "Listen, ma'am," I said, trying to keep calm. "I don't know who you are, but my name's Jacob Miller. This is my cabin now." She folded her arms. "Crystal Parker. I'm president of the Whispering Pines HOA. And let me make something perfectly clear, this community has standards. Standards you clearly don't meet." She looked me up and down like I was a stray mutt. "Well, Crystal," I forced a smile, "maybe you can give me the welcome packet after I unload the truck." Her lips curled. "No. What I can give you is 30 seconds to explain how you got this cabin, because I know for a fact the owner would never sell to someone like you." Before I could even ask what she meant, she was already dialing her phone. I heard it plain as day. 911. "What's your emergency?" I almost spilled my coffee. "Lady, I have the title papers in my glove box." But she just turned her back, sweet as sugar, for the dispatcher. "Yes, officer, there's a man here claiming to own a cabin he doesn't. Possible identity theft. He's hostile." Hostile. I was standing in my own driveway holding a mug. That was the moment I knew I wasn't dealing with a misunderstanding. I was dealing with a woman who had decided in 5 minutes I didn't belong. The movers wanted no part of it. They dropped my boxes, muttering about not wanting to stick around when the cops showed up. 28 minutes later, the squad car rolled in. Officer Harris, mid-40s, tired eyes, the kind of look teachers give after too many troublemakers. Crystal greeted him like she was flagging down a parade. "Officer, thank goodness you came. This man is pretending to own property that isn't his." I shoved the folder into Harris's hands, deed, mortgage, closing documents. He checked them carefully, even called dispatch to confirm the title transfer with the county. Crystal's smug grin melted with every second. Finally, Harris handed the folder back. "Mr. Miller, everything checks out. This property is yours." Relief hit me, then vanished in an instant when Harris turned to Crystal. "Ma'am, we've responded to several tenant calls from your address before, haven't we?" "Tenant." Crystal froze, then laughed, too loud, too fake. "Oh, those were misunderstandings. You know how renters can be." Renters. Something didn't add up. And deep down, I knew I hadn't scratched the surface of what this woman was hiding. Act 2. Escalation and doubt. The next morning I woke to the sound of a camera shutter. 6 in the morning, there she was in pajama pants, slippers, standing in my yard snapping photos. "Morning, neighbor," she said sweetly. "Just making sure everything's up to code." By day 4 I had 8 violation notices. Mailbox paint, window curtains, excessive landscaping even though I hadn't touched the flower beds. I caught her measuring my grass with a ruler, peeking through my windows, snapping photos of my garbage cans. Everywhere I turned, she was there. And she wasn't just sending letters. She whispered to neighbors, handed out flyers with my picture, "Suspicious new resident, be alert." She posted online calling me a scam artist, maybe running a halfway house, maybe drugs. She took photos of my pizza deliveries and turned them into evidence of criminal activity. By Wednesday, people in town were avoiding me. A jogger crossed the street when I waved. A father pulled his daughter close and yelled, "Stay away from him." That cut deeper than the violation slips. Even Claire, my girlfriend, called her voice uneasy. Jacob, my coworker, saw posts online saying you're under investigation. Maybe you should move, cut your losses. For the first time I thought about it. Maybe she was right. Maybe buying this place was a mistake. Sitting on my porch at night staring at the lake, I actually whispered it out loud. Did I screw this up? I felt powerless, like one woman's obsession could erase me from a whole community. But then I remembered my cameras, the ones Harris told me to install. I pulled up the footage. Hours of Crystal caught red-handed trespassing, photographing, measuring, peeking, even trying the handle on my truck. Proof. And then came the bombshell. A letter slipped into my mailbox by mistake, addressed to Crystal Henderson. The return address, Northern Lakes Property Management, my company. Hands shaking, I tore it open. A rent check, $200, written to me. I nearly dropped it. Crystal Parker, queen of the HOA, wasn't even a homeowner. She was a tenant. My tenant. For a week she'd been harassing me, calling the cops, painting me as a fraud, while paying me rent the whole time. The irony was so sharp it hurt. Act 3. The climax and justice. I called my lawyer Lisa. I called Officer Harris. I called Jennifer, the property manager who handled Crystal's lease. We built a plan. Tuesday morning the air felt electric. Officer Harris leaned against his cruiser outside Crystal's place. Jennifer clutched a folder stuffed with documents, lease agreements, cleared checks, emails Crystal herself had written. Crystal opened the door in pearls and a power suit, carrying a binder full of her case file. She smiled smugly. Finally, the real landlord is here. Someone needs to hear the truth about this criminal. She looked straight at me when she said criminal. Jennifer cleared her throat. Crystal, this is Mr. Miller. He's the property owner. We're here to discuss your tenancy. Crystal blinked, then laughed. Nice try. My landlord is Northern Lakes Property Management, a real company. Not this fraud. I set the rent check on her coffee table, the one she'd signed less than a week ago. Her voice cracked. Where did you get that? From my mailbox, I said. Because Northern Lakes, that's me. You've been paying rent to me for 6 months. The silence was heavy. Harris folded his arms. Jennifer opened the folder, laying out lease documents signed Crystal Henderson, bank receipts, emails from her thanking the company for excellent service. Crystal's face drained of color. Then it flushed bright red. No. You forged this. You hacked my bank. This is fraud. Harris cut in, calm but firm. Ma'am, these are official records. Mr. Miller owns this home. According to these documents, you are his tenant. Jennifer added softly, almost pitying. You've been an excellent tenant, Crystal. Why didn't you just let things be? Crystal's voice broke. Because that cabin should have been mine. It was supposed to be my retirement. He stole it. There it was. Not about community standards, not about crime, about obsession. I pulled one last paper from my folder and slid it across the table. An eviction notice. 30 days. Crystal staggered back. You can't evict me. I'm the HOA president. I run this neighborhood. I looked her dead in the eye. Not anymore. And just like that, her power collapsed. The woman who tried to erase me from my own home sat trembling, clutching the eviction notice, whispering, "This isn't happening." But it was. She'd live-streamed the whole meeting by accident, and within hours the clip went viral. Neighbors saw it then, the town, then the internet. Crystal Parker, HOA tyrant, exposed as a tenant paying rent to the very man she tried to evict. Her reign ended not with cheers, not with fireworks, but with a whimper as she packed her boxes into a U-Haul under the eyes of neighbors filming her downfall. Final lesson. Sometimes the loudest bully is just a tenant on borrowed time.